Okay, there's one thing I want you guys to know about the x22r kickstand. Now, from the factory, this kickstand is pretty much hanging down, maybe right about here or so, which is not safe. So to simulate stock conditions, I'm going to use what is that? It's a Duracell 303/351 battery. I don't think I can zoom in on that. Yeah, Duracell 303/51 battery. Find these in some watches, batteries, like this go in, what do you call it? Not HID, LED thingies, which is right here. Sometimes they come in these little things right here that goes on your tire. What you call it? Really? Just want to be in the shot, don't you? Okay. You'll be in the shot, alright, in my pocket. Okay, so getting back to this, before I get distracted, I'm going to simulate this the way I got my bike. I'm not sure about everybody else's. You can literally shave this down with many different tools. But I'm going to wedge this in between here, simulating all the shaving that I took off, and see how far it goes down. Let's see. Trying to do this with one hand is not that easy. Okay. Alright, I got it on the stand. Maybe that's a little bit exaggerated. I don't think I have anything else smaller. But I'm not sure. For me, I have small hands, right? I have small hands. And when I got the bike, I was able to put my hand between the peg. This is spring loaded, so it's spring loaded. You know, it's not going to stay up. It's going to stay down as far as it can. And I put my pinky on the top of the ball joint between that and there. At the time it was kind of touching, but this is only maybe 1/4 of an inch, so it would be a little bit higher. But since I shaved it down using a Dremel, let me see, so if I had my hand in a fist, it'd be like right about here. That's still too low for me. But since I shaved down some of the metal from here to like literally parallel to the bike. Okay, using this Dremel. It's the micro model. You know, it goes up to like 28. I think it was like 28,000 RPM. Has an LED light on there, so you can see a workstation. And basically I used one of these carbide bits, which is for aluminum. Go focus on that. And I used this to drill it out in this area. I drilled out, this was flat when I got it. From this point to this point was all flat. So I dremeled out this area for the ball joint of the kickstand. Try to clean that out as much as I could. And basically I just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know, let me see if this will work. It won't work. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. So basically what I did, I just put it on. You know, it's no different than before. I used this and I went all the way in there. As you can see, there's some bit of it that's missing. I don't think it's going to focus. There you go. You see, I dremeled all of it to a certain point, and try to get it to focus a little bit more. No, it doesn't want to focus. I basically just focused on that part right there. And I dremeled this entire area right here around this ball joint right here. Because I knew this was going to be a curvature, then it was going to flatten out here. So basically I made this little groove, you know, and that just literally supports the bike. Just that last part right in there. So basically it's this part here. This part right here is stopping the kickstand from going up as far as you need it to go. I mean, when you're in the neighborhood and you ride around think you're doing MotoGP, and when this thing right here scrapes the ground, you're going to automatically sit right back up like you're going straight. And if you're in a real twisty, tight canyon area, or let's say it's a one-way street and you're going into a curve, you need to keep that lean angle to keep going through that corner. Otherwise, you're probably going to hit a car, a curb, pothole, manhole, sewer pipe, you know, anything else, or a guardrail, depending on where you live at. So basically what I did was just Dremel that out, as I've repeated multiple times. I can't really get my hand in there unless I push it up. So basically it'd be like 3 fingers from the ball joint of the kickstand to the foot peg. It's 3 fingers. I mean, most people have bigger fingers. I have kind of small hands, like I said. So 3 fingers is good enough clearance for me. It is parallel from the ground. It's not hanging down too much, you know. I think that's where it was before, you know, just right about here. So it was hanging down too much. So I shaved that, maybe got a 1/4 inch to 1 inch of clearance. So when I do lean the bike on the left side, I don't have any problems. But that is one solution modification cosmetically that will help you. Okay, we'll go to kick stop. Oops. Now I know this is going to be hard to see. Oh, I've got better light. Here's the oil cooler under the fairing of the bike. As you can see, got the lines running all the way down the side and into the oil reservoir right there. I didn't take the fairing off because I just got here. And the best way for you to hook this up is this little reservoir right here, which is, it has the filter screen inside of it. I used Jerry Hawk's diagram because I did more research on it, and it did show that this is the inlet, the suction port. So basically I use this to filter out any particulates that come from the oil cooler itself from the factory. It's all the way in there. So all the way in there, you can't really see it. There we go. So that first left bolt, which is up there, that line goes straight down, all the way down to the filter, and it goes all the way down here. This one goes straight to the middle. There's there's 2 holes, but on the outside it looks like top and bottom, but that's not the truth. I have an extra one in my storage unit right here. As you can see, I tore it up because I tried to take it off and it wouldn't come off. So like I said, from the outside it looks like up and bottom, but from the inside it's totally different. Now you see there's an outside hole, then there's an inside hole. This is the inlet. So if you follow this one, It's right here. So I'll just flip this around for the sake of the video. If we use this as an example, right here. Let's see. You see how that, okay, the bottom one right there is the inlet. The top one is the outlet. Okay? So I'm gonna go back to the old one. The bottom one is the inlet. So this one is actually sucking in the oil from the cooler, going back into the oil sump of the motor. And that's where all the oil gets to the galleries, the drive chain, the camshaft, the skirt of the piston, goes through the entire bike. Then it gets recirculated back and then pumped back out to the top. Right there. It goes to the top one, then it goes back to the cooler to get cooled off, and then it recirculates. The top one has a hole at the top of it, so it does separate itself. You would have an O-ring right here. I don't have an O-ring. Let's see. Do I have any O-rings nearby? No, I do not. You have an O-ring right here. And it's relatively simple to put on. I have U-joints. You probably can't see it on the metal frame. There's a U-joint here with a silver plate. Can't really see it, sorry, because it's in the way. There's another U-joint at the top, right there, if you can see that, with 2 bolts wrapped around the main frame of the bike. You really can't see. Oh, there you go. You can see it right here. You know, it has rubber washers on it. Comes with the oil cooler. You just have to buy separate U-joints from your local hardware store. Get the backing plates as well. They should come in the same package. So you get the U-bolts, you get the U-bolt, the screws, and the backing plate as well. So I bought 2 of those from your local hardware store, and I put that on. As you can see there, it does have a rubber washer. And when you do that, there is a clearance issue somewhere in here. I think it's on the opposite side where the horn. This is an aftermarket horn that I bought. Let me see if I can get that on camera. Because the stock one just really wasn't cutting the mustard. Because literally you're driving around, nobody sees you. There it goes. There we go. It's Europe Sports. What does that say? Euro Sports horn. 510 hertz. It's pretty loud. It has a little muffler on it. I did take the stock one off. It's direct, what'd you call it? Plug and play. So when you order it from Amazon, it does come it's shipped in one piece. You don't have to put anything together. Just plug it back in. I have it mounted in the same spot. If you could see that. It's mounted with that one screw, and there's another screw over there. That's where where is it called? The SAE, secondary air intake system, or secondary SAE, secondary air emission system, was in this one spot right here. I took that out so that the bike may breathe more air, which in turn, will help me give it more fuel, which will give it more power. I also did red Rimtape because there's nothing else on this bike or me that is lime green, so I had to get rid of that. Done that on both front and rear. And as the bike is sitting in storage, I do want to mention that the Petcock is in its off position. A lot of people have a bit of misinformation when it comes to the Petcock. Let's go to oil cooler. When it comes to the Petcock, there's three settings really. You have your main, which is up here. Oops. Did not want to focus on that. Screw in the back. There's a main right here. Try to get that out one more time. Try this one more time. Okay, when it comes to the Petcock, there's only three settings: main, reserve, and off. When it comes down to it, let me try to focus. Does not want to focus on the subject that I want. Okay, let's try that one more time. Get some of this dirt off. Okay, if I could. You can see here. Okay, the Petcock only has three settings: off, full, and reserve. The top one being main tank, which is full. The middle point with this small circle is off, and the bottom would be reserve. If you check under it, it says fuel. So that is telling you where the fuel marker is. Let's go to Petcock. Cool. 3 more to go. Okay. Just wanted to bring your attention to the display. Wow, there's no light. Now, when it comes to shifting, myself, personally, I like to shift around, for high speeds, 8 to 9,000. That's just for me. If I'm going on the highway, I'm going to give it the beans. You know, I'm not going to be putting around, shifting at 5, 6, 7,000, because there's so much more untapped potential within this bike because it's badly timed, low compression. It's 223 cc's for the 165 FMM model. I've been told by Jerry Hawk and many others their bike could come in with 169. I think it was 169. Yeah, 169 FMM engine models, and those have a little bit more compression. Maybe 10 extra cc's or something like that. But a lot of people were saying that the bike couldn't handle highway. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable because of the vibrations, cool. You don't have to rev it out and make it vibrate even more. That just comes with motorcycling. All motorcycles vibrate to a certain degree. And yes, I do agree this bike does vibrate excessively, but that shouldn't stop you or deter you from having any fun, you know? So for me personally, like I said before, 8 to 9,000 RPM is the key factor to obtaining higher speeds, especially on the highway. On city streets, 4 or 5 is good enough. That's it. You shouldn't go over 6 or 7, 8 to 9 because you're going to be way too fast. Especially if you go into the next topic, gearing ratios. You know, 4 and 5 is enough. 4 or 5,000 RPM is plenty. Okay. Two more left. Now getting down to the nitty gritty. First, let me just say I am guilty. Following the trend and not doing your own research. Everything that's given should be taken with a grain of salt. Everything that is given over the internet should be taken with a grain of salt. Anything I say should be taken with a grain of salt. It is not final and concrete evidence of anything. It is only what I have experienced and what I have done to the bike. I went with the 35-2 sprocket. Jerry Hawk went with the 34, and he found out that his chain was, well, the sprocket wore down to the point where the chain was actually rubbing the axle, which should be on the back side here. You probably can't see it over there. And it just does, it barely clears it, put it that way. The 34 is too small, but the 35 is just big enough that it does clear the hub, as you can see there. Even if I spin it again, you can see metal of the aluminum sprocket. There we go. Let me try to get that. There we go. You can see metal. The aluminum sprocket does pass the rear axle. It's pretty dirty. But I mean, it does take away a considerable amount of torque. You know, it is 35-2. You can barely see that because it is dirty. That's right. 35-2. You can't really see the letters because it is dirty. I haven't cleaned it yet. It does run fine. No. Nope. And I also have... Where is that bad boy? There it is. Also have an 18-tooth front sprocket, which has been used. It did take away a lot of torque. I should have experimented with the 1842 stock rear sprocket. I only used it to go to the gas station and back. You know, no big deal. I did order a 16-tooth sprocket, but it was too small. Way too small. Oh, there it is. Ugh. I ordered a 16-tooth sprocket, but I mean, it wasn't really like what I just said. It was way too small, you know, compared to the 17. Let me put this on top. It's the center cog of the, if you can really see it, it was maybe, I think it was a 17 millimeters too small, the center diameter of the cog. This one is a 20 millimeter diameter. So when I tried to put it on, it did not fit. If you go down to a 16, the bike will have more torque off the line. You will have better acceleration, but you will lose top speed. So if you do get to a 17, it should be at least maybe 1 or 2 sizes smaller. You know? So try to put it right there so it doesn't move. I mean, it's not that bad. But I will be putting this 18th gear back on once once I get a new rear sprocket. I'm thinking about going down to a, well, I'm going back up from 35. I'm probably going to go back up to a 40. I think that's fine. So if I'm going up 1 tooth in the front, and that's an equivalent of 2 down in the rear, and then I take off an additional 2 in the rear. So that's, I'm removing 4 teeth from the rear. From a 42 to a 40. It's not that bad. Not that bad at all. So I should, in theory, get a higher top speed. Okay. Let's go. Gearing talk is done. And the last thing to talk about is the housing. Okay. Headlight housing. Beautiful. Let me see. Is the battery? No, the battery is disconnected. Can't really see it. By the way, remember I was talking about this horn. Let's talking about that horn right there. I could give you a little test on that. Ooh, almost, I hit the wrong button. Oh, it's not charged. But you you can hear a little bit. The battery's pretty much dead. But the real reason why I started the bike was, as you can see, I have the red LED and another LED right there. And on this side, there is no LED. Reason why? Took it for a ride and it fell out. I have to retrieve it and then put it back. So that's what the remaining of this is going to be. Okay, technical difficulties due to the fact that this thing has literally less than 1% of the battery left. I'm gonna do this real quick because I don't have my tripod stand today. In order to get this headlight housing off, the first thing you need to do, take off the mirrors, take off these first 2 bolts, and the first 2 bolts on that. That in it of itself is holding on along with the 4 bolts of the windscreen. That is holding on predominantly to the front nose of the bike. In addition to this screw right here, which is under the left headlight, which is on your right, and the right headlight, which is on your left, another screw right here. Once you take those main screws off, those screws that you can see, now we go to the screws that you cannot see. Hopefully I can get them in the shot. Okay. There's a screw here. There is a screw exactly opposite to that one. It's brass screws. These are the brass screws now. You take those screws out. Take this screw out. You take this screw out. That screw out. That screw out. And exact opposite. Oops, can't really see it. There's another screw right behind the quarter panel. And also on that side, it's also right behind the quarter panel. So in total, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 screws, I believe. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 brass screws. These little screws, brass ones. 10 brass screws And then you come to the silver, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 silver screws. These are the Allen key screws for the bike, for the fairing. Once you take those screws off, there are even more screws you gotta take off. That's when you go under the bike, which is literally hard to tell. Well, I took mine out because I couldn't figure out where these screws were. I mean, it's dark. I don't know what up in here. I got wires everywhere. Let me see if I can find out where it is. Give me 1 second. I move this light. There it is. If you look right there, there is a screw missing right there. Let's see if I can get it in the light. Oops, the light. See, this is why you need a forehead light. Wait, actually, hold on. Do I have a forehead light? I should have one somewhere in here. Okay. So upon further inspection, I remember I took it home, and I am nowhere near home. Okay. So getting back under here. Right here, in front of that screw right there is another brass screw, and actually on the opposite side is another brass screw. So in total it's 12 brass screws and 12 silver screws as well that you have to remove in order to get this front fairing off to get behind the headlight. The headlight housing itself has 4 brass screws that holds the actual headlight on to the fairing. Once you get that off, everything should be apart, which is relatively simple, but as they always say, is easily said than done. I'm still in the process of actually going ahead, taking this screw off, this screw off, that screw off, this screw off, and like 2 more screws back there to take off this entire quarter panel. Oh yeah, not to mention this screw, and then there's like another screw under here somewhere. Yeah, there's a screw here, screw there, that comes off, and apparently the entire quarter panel does come off. I am not doing that right now because I'm just not getting into that. I'm still on my day off right now. I think that is everything that I really wanted to go over as far as parts. This is not a mod video, but this is just an information video for everybody that is on the Facebook group. I'll put that in the video at the top, somewhere up there. Big shout out to you guys. You big guys have been working on your bikes like crazy, doing all types of things like I said before in another video. Of course, I took my stickers off. Well, not all of them, but just that one because I didn't like it. So I put them on both sides. Still got my phone mount on there. Got the 360 camera on there. Stock mirrors, of course. I still got that whale tail back there I need to chop off. And recently, after 1,000 miles, my bulb has blown out. So I need to... Actually, I just need to chop that whole thing off and then replace it with the other one that I have in here. Let's see. Where you at? I see you. I did make a post on the Facebook group. I have a lot of wiring to do. I really don't want to do it. Get your positive, negative, and ground. Here is your, I think that's the light. No, that's just, here's the light right here. This doesn't even have any adapters to it. So I gotta splice something up for this LED light. It has 3 LED lights under it. That goes with the license plate. Once that's on there, I'm gonna chop this bad boy off, put that bad boy on, swap the license plate. I already have a bracket, homemade bracket already under here. It's not going anywhere. It is snug, and these bolt holes were already here. Okay, this one is not bolted to anything. This screw right here is not bolted to anything. These screws right here, 1 and 2, already existed. So there was 1 screw here, 1 screw here, 1 screw here, 1 screw here. I just bought these brackets at Home Depot for maybe like $2. Another bracket from Home Depot for like $2, and I had a spare screw here and a spare screw here from taking off the secondary air intake emission system, and I put it on that bracket. The screw holes were too small, so I had to bore them out so the screws could actually fit. And that is what's going to actually hold on to this part of the bike, because it is too narrow. So I'm going to put that under there. It's going to go something like this. Like, I'm going to have to bend it at such an angle, like you can see there. I have to bend it at such an angle. It's going right behind. It's going to be a lot higher from the actual where the plate is right now. It's going to be a lot higher. So it's going to be like right under the tail. So I'm going to have to adjust that. But for what it's worth, it's not even that bad. Not even that bad at all. I just don't want to do it right now because, as we all know, you can't be riding around without license plates and lights and all that stuff. It's already hooked up now, so I'm like, why get into it, right? But once I do that, I will update you guys. There was a 360 video that I made. Hopefully this styrofoam that I put inside the mount will actually reduce the vibrations and actually give you clearer audio of what's going on around me. So I put that in there. Hopefully, you know, this is memory foam. So once you squish it down, it takes a minute to actually reform itself. And once I do that, it should be enough padding in there to actually hold the camera in a still position. And I'm gonna have to test that out real soon. But other than that, this has been, well, I tried to make it a short video. I know each one was in like 5-6 minutes. I got a lot of things to do right now. And I got very little time to do it on the weekend. I'm going back to work Monday. It is now Saturday. Going close to actually after 4 o'clock. So I need to get out of here, go home, have some supper, and maybe come back tomorrow morning and start these repairs. It's not really a repair because it didn't break. You know, I just have to take out the, let me see if I can do it from here. It's in here. And let me see if you can see my finger. Yep, I got it. There we go, got it. You really can't see my finger though. Let me see. But I do have the bulb that it fell out of. You know, the bulb fell out of here. These are your side marker lights. And I gotta get that thing out of there. So basically I have to take everything apart, which I mentioned. So altogether there's like 12 of these. 12 of these little silver thing, well, 12 little brass bulbs, and then the entire housing comes apart. I'll take pictures and maybe a video of it, me doing that, maybe tomorrow. And stay tuned. Plenty of footage to go around for everyone, and I really need to get that updated. It's 2 years old. Awesomeness. That concludes. Peace.